Good morning children. Welcome to e-learning classes of biology. I am Aji Miss, your teacher for the day. Today we are going to start the new chapter in bio, that is chapter 9, heredity and evolution. Actually children, we have only the first part of the chapter for the exam, the heredity. The evolution part is not included in the syllabus this year. You will find it little difficult to understand the concepts that are explained in this module. So watch the video and listen to all the explanations as many times possible till you understand each and every concept thoroughly. Now let us get into the chapter. As an introduction to the chapter, I want you all to recollect certain things that you have already learned in the previous chapter. How do organisms reproduce? What is meant by reproduction? The production of similar offsprings by the parents. Am I correct children? As we all know, the dogs will produce puppies. The elephants will produce only baby elephants. The cats will produce kittens and human beings also will produce human babies. What about plants? A rose plant will produce only the baby rose plant. And if it is a money plant, it is going to produce only the money plant. So in all the cases, the similar organisms are getting produced by the process of reproduction. Then the question is, how does this similarity? I think you have an answer to this question also. The characters from the parents are getting transferred to the offsprings at the time of reproduction. You are right children. And that is what is heredity. So what is meant by heredity? The transfer of traits or characters from the parents to the offsprings. That is termed as heredity. But you know that only similar offsprings are produced in the process but not the exact copies of the parent. Means certain variations or changes occur in the offsprings. Look at this figure. You can see that a parent organism produces two offsprings with certain minor variations. And these variations are shown in the figure with a slight color change. Like in the first one, a small red portion can be seen, and in the second one, a small blue part. That is in the first generation. And when they reproduce and produce two another offsprings, these minor variations are getting transmitted to them, and even they acquire certain other variations during their lifetime. Means the number of variations are increasing in the second generation. Now you can see that all the offsprings in the second generation are different from each other. So over generations the variations accumulate, and that can lead to the formation of a new species as well, and that is termed as evolution. And you have already learned that the chances of variations are more in sexual reproduction compared to asexual means of reproduction. What is the reason children? The errors or the inaccuracies in DNA copying leads to these variations. In asexual reproduction, only one parent involves in the process of reproduction. But in the case of sexual reproduction, two individuals take part in the process. Therefore, the chances of variations are more. Then finally, some of the variations may be helpful to the organisms in the prevailing natural conditions. And these organisms having such positive variations would survive, whereas the organisms with the variations not suited to the prevailing conditions may not survive. This concept is actually known as the survival of the fittest. For example, in a population of bacteria that we have already learned in the previous chapter, only the variants which can withstand the high temperature could survive, and all the other bacteria died. So creation of favorable variations in a species promotes survival. So these are the things that you have recollected from the previous chapter. Since we are going to study more about the process of heredity, I think we can just focus on that topic now. To understand this concept clearly, you should have a knowledge about certain terms that are frequently used in this chapter. So now let us go in detail with all these terms now. Now you have learned that the inheritance of traits from parents to the offspring is heredity. Inheritance means passing of traits. What are these traits or characteristics, children? Are they same? Both the terms are actually used interchangeably to describe the features of an organism. Means you can use both these words with a similar meaning. But even then there is a slight difference between the two. Characteristics are the observable features of a particular group of organisms. They can be said as the basic body design of a group of organisms. Like in human beings, the hair color, the color of the eye, the skin color, and even the height of the person, etc. are the characteristics. Then what are these traits? The traits are the different states of a character. The different forms of a characteristic are termed as traits. For example, if the height of the plant is a characteristic, then the tallness and the dwarfness or the shortness are the two traits. And if we consider the color of the flower as a characteristic in a plant, the purple color, the white color, the red color, or any other color can be the traits. And in human beings, if we take the color of the eye as a characteristic, what are the traits then? It can be blue color, brown color, or black color. They are the traits. Okay, now you understood. But children, as I have said earlier, these two terms are interchangeably used in genetics. What is genetics? It's a branch of science that deals with the study of heredity and inheritance of traits. In this chapter, actually, we are going to deal with only certain basic concepts from genetics. So the traits that are received by the offspring from the parents are termed as inherited traits. Both physical and behavioral characteristics can be inherited. But certain behaviors or characters we acquire during our lifetime, right? Can you give certain examples for that? Let me give you certain simple examples, then you will understand. You are putting henna on your hair and changing the color of your hair. Or you are making tattoos on your skin. Or the scars on your body due to certain injury. Or you learn to dance by practice. Will all these characteristics pass on to the next generation? No. These are called acquired traits. So inherited traits are received from the parents by the offspring and they can be passed on to the next generation also. But acquired traits are acquired during the lifetime of an organism and cannot be passed on to the offsprings. Is it clear, children? Now you have to give an answer for another question. How some traits can be inherited and some cannot be. To figure out this, we have to go back to the cell structure again. What are the thread-like structures present in the nucleus? Chromosomes. So chromosomes are made up of certain double helical structures called DNA or deoxyribonucleic acid molecules. Chromosomes are long strands of DNA. And genes are the functional units of DNA. The genes code for a particular protein that decides a particular trait. Genes are the segments of DNA that carry the traits from parents to the offsprings. A single cell in the human body contains almost 25,000 to 35,000 genes, and these genes carry the traits inherited by an individual from its parents. So if the traits are coded by genes, they can be inherited. The acquired traits are not coded by genes, so they cannot be inherited. So I hope you all understood why some traits can be inherited while some other traits cannot be. The process of inheritance will be easily understood by Mendel's experiments. Gregor Johann Mendel is known as the father of genetics because of his valuable contributions to the field of genetics. Mendel was educated in a monastery and was studied science and mathematics in the University of Vienna. He wanted to become a teacher, but he had failed in that examination. But he did not lose his hope. He returned to the monastery and started growing pea plants in the garden. Mendel blended his knowledge of science and mathematics to keep a count on pea plants, expecting a particular type of trait in each generation. Mendel did many researches on heredity and brought out 3 important rules of inheritance. About these 3 laws of inheritance,